Hello, Ralph Nader.
Ralph Nader, this is Big J in Billings, Montana, sir. How are you today?
Good. How's Big Sky Country?
Oh, it is fantastic, and far more fantastic now we are chatting with you, sir. How do you describe yourself? I would call you a living legend, but if somebody asked you that just came here from another planet, who is Ralph Nader, what is your description?
I'm a fighter for justice for everybody.
There you go. There you go. That's how you've built your career here on this one. And before I get into 9 million other questions, we better mention the book. The new book is Wrecking America, which of course exposes how Trump's lawbreaking and lies have created fascism 2.0. Give us a little backstory here on Wrecking America. Why write the book? Why is it so important? And why is Trump ruining our country?
Well, as the media has documented, this is a very corrupt administration. He's put people in who represent corporate interests, and they're supposed to represent in government consumer interests, worker interests, farmer interests, you name it. And he's dismantled these protections we've worked so hard over the decades to install, and protections for clean air, clean water, safer cars, safer drugs. He has not reduced drug prices. He's given the drug companies incredible profits, and he's developed crony capitalism. He's shoveling out all kinds of corporate subsidies, handouts, giveaways. He's turned our government over to Wall Street against Main Street. And this book very clearly, using his own words, his own policies, his own nominees to prove the case. But my biggest complaint about Trump, he's a massive lawbreaker. That's why there's so much corruption. And when the inspector generals and prosecutors start getting close to him and his inner circle, what does he do? He fires them. That used to be an impeachable offense. When Nixon did that to the special prosecutor in Watergate, he was on his road to being impeached and convicted, but he wasn't, because Senator Goldwater, Mr. Conservative from Arizona, took a team of Republicans over to the White House and said, Mr. President, you're done. You've lost your base. You're going to be impeached and convicted, and Nixon resigned. Well, Trump has defied hundreds subpoenas, not one like Nixon. He has defied all kinds of congressional authorities. Only Congress can appropriate laws. He's spending money without congressional appropriation. He's engaging in snooping on the American people without judicial warrant. That's a first-class felony under the FISA Act. He's using federal employees politically against his opponents. That's a violation of the Hatch Act. That's a criminal statute, and on. It's just that he's making a mockery. When he was in business, the law meant nothing to him. He had lawyers. He delayed actions in the courts, and he got away with it. Well, that's not anything that is consoling to people who believe in the rule of law, constitutional observance, and a just society. And that's why we wrote the book, Wrecking America.
It's out now. You guys check it out. We've got a strong libertarian named Riven here on our app, and she wants to know, Mr. Nader, is Trump the first president to, quote, get away with some of these offenses he's getting away with?
Not at all, except he's doing it on steroids. In fact, when Clinton got away with being a savage sexual predator and got reelected, Trump, who always wanted to be president and was a political TV junkie, said, that's not going to disadvantage me. And then he looked at Bush, who messed around with the votes in Florida and had these illegal wars, especially against Iraq, and he said, hey, presidents can break the law. That's okay with me. And then he looks at Obama, who didn't prosecute those crooks on Wall Street in 2009, 2010, and he said, this is pretty good. My record is not going to harm me in Atlantic City and elsewhere. My liabilities are nullified by my prior presidents. Yeah, the groundwork was laid by these prior presidents, but he's taken it to an incredible sink of disgusting corruption, lies, misogyny, bigotry, incompetence. Look at the way he's handled COVID-19. First he lied about it, and he didn't want to alarm the people, lost precious days. Then he belittled it. Only be 10 or 15 fatalities. And then he started being quacks, telling people to take drugs that are dangerous or maybe try bleach. Then he overruled the scientists. To this day, he's overruling the FDA and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So he's a menace to the country. He's sick himself. He spread it in the White House. Now he's going out and campaigning and spreading it some more. I don't know why people don't just say, listen, you've had your day, resign, let Pence be president, give America a break.
There you go. Somebody just said so much negativity, which I think is funny. You wrote a book called Wrecking America. What did you guys want him to talk about here? I mean, come on. Mr. Nader here. We're talking to Ralph Nader, four-time presidential candidate, fighter for justice out there. What about this election? Are you endorsing somebody? Are you getting behind somebody? For people that don't know you, they might think you're very anti-Trump. You are an equal opportunity hater. You weren't a big fan of Obama at times. You weren't a fan of Clinton. You call out wrong when you see wrong on the right and the left. You're not just a guy that supports the left and goes against the right. You call out anybody. So let's talk about this election. Who are you digging in this election?
I don't endorse anybody and never have. I tell what I think is the truth about the pluses and minuses, and I think people should always vote their conscience, not engage in tactical voting or least worst voting. And I think we need a lot of election reform. We need public funding of campaigns. We need to get rid of gerrymandering. We need to have more fair voting. I mean, the suppression of the vote and encouraging doubt about the vote and doubt about mail ballots that Trump is engaged in and deprecating our postal service and is one of the worst constitutional crimes you can imagine. I mean, the right to vote, the freedom to vote, the facility to vote, where you don't close precincts and you don't say you got to have notarized signatures. I mean, imagine people having going to a notary in a COVID-19 in some states, or have to have a witness. All that is being encouraged by Donald J. Trump.
Is it true, Ralph, that you don't do a lot of technology, that you don't watch TV, that you still write on a typewriter? Are you pretty old school like that?
Very much. I use an Underwood typewriter. We just lost electricity up in New England for 5 to 10 days, and my typewriter was still working.
There you go. I also want to know, Ralph, why is it that nobody's made... I know there's a documentary about you that was great. Why has nobody cast an actor to play you and made a movie about your life? I feel like your life is fascinating, and that's just the public stuff that I know. I'm sure there's some stories you could tell about your upbringing and your fight to get to where you're at that would be very interesting. I want to see a Ralph Nader biopic.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. Maybe someday that will happen. I did write a book called 17 Traditions, How Our Parents Raised 4 Children in an Industrial Town in New England, which was a modest bestseller published by HarperCollins. And people can go to nader.org and get my free column every week. I've been writing since 1971 and figure it out for themselves, and they can find out how to get this book, Wrecking America. This book is a book that structures the whole playbook of Trump in his own words. But I also respect Trump voters enough to spend a few pages talking with them and not stereotyping them and understanding where they're coming from and trying to get them to raise their expectations for what a president of the United States should be doing and saying and behaving for the American people.
There you go. A lot of people are asking, because she's third party here, about what you think about Jo Jorgensen. Any take on her as a candidate?
I don't know her, but I do like third and fourth and fifth parties. I want more voices and choices on the ballot for the American people. As you know, I ran on the Green Party ticket in 1996 and 2000. We have a two-party duopoly. They dial for the same commercial dollars. They build a government of, by, and for big corporations when it's supposed to be of, by, and for the people. So I never tell people not to run, because I never want to tell people not to speak, petition, and assemble. And that's the First Amendment triad. You can oppose people, you can support people for office, never tell them not to run.
There you go. And another one, all the people on the right are obviously triggered that you said some negative stuff about Lord and Savior Trump here, so they would like to know your opinion on Nancy Pelosi.
Well, she should have used all the impeachable offenses we documented against Trump. She just went with Ukraine. I think she was just interested in impeaching, not convicting in the Senate. Congressman John Larson put it in the congressional record, 12 impeachable offenses. I don't think she made enough of the minimum wage. She lost 4 out of the 5 last congressional elections, so she can't be that political astute against what I think is a Republican Party that would have shocked Senator Robert Taft, Dwight Eisenhower, or Theodore Roosevelt. However, she looks pretty good compared to the serial liar, the sexual predator, the bigot, the incompetent, the self-ego-obsessed, self-enriching, now COVID-19 spreader, Donald Trump. So I guess it's relative in Washington.
There you go. Ralph Nader, aside from the book Wrecking America and your website where we can find all the books and your column and everything, what's in the future? Any other political runs? Are you going to consult other candidates? What's the future for Ralph Nader?
I'd like to see people start Congress watchdog groups in every congressional district. They don't realize that a lot of the things they want for America, a decent wage, worker rights, opportunity, freedom to full health care, cracking down on corporate crime, a smart tax system, an end to empire overseas, decent public works, repair, building jobs in all communities, all have to go through Congress. And Congress, only 535 people put their shoes on like we do every day, and we're not focusing enough on Congress. It's the most powerful branch of the government, and it can turn around the executive branch and the judiciary. Start Congress watchdog groups, people.
There you go. Make it happen.
Start it in Montana.
We'll do it in Montana. The book, Wrecking America by Ralph Nader, is available right now. Mr. Nader, I love you. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we'd love to take a vacation out here to Montana sometime. If you get time, come visit us, sir.
It was one of my favorite states in my 7th grade geography class.
There you go. Mr. Nader, thank you so much. Best of luck to you. Stay healthy, and thanks for joining us today.
Yes, you too. Thank you.